condominium omnibudsman,
What's budsman?
special assessment,
I've gotten those.
board recall.
Ugh, I hate that.
Welcome to another episode of Attorneys Are Human Too. Condo Commandos, Life Behind the Gate. I'm Steve Wallace.
And I'm Celena Muzic.
And I'm Michael Muzic.
We have a really treat for you today. We've got the better half of our co-host, Celena Muzic, here today. He's a realtor, he's a technology guru, and the two of them work together. I have so many questions. But before we start, merch. We've got official Attorneys Are Human 2 mouse pads. Get them while they are hot.
I love that.
So let's get right into it, okay? So today we are going to talk about the interesting creature of Florida law, condominium associations and homeowner associations. For all of our friends up north, this is a totally new ballgame for a lot of you.
I feel like they don't have enough rules like that protect the homeowners.
I guess you haven't lived in an association very well.
I do.
Well, you live in a homeowner association,
Yeah.
correct? Well, that has a more open, a lot of the properties are more open. But if you're living in a condominium association, they govern how you breathe. They govern what kind of shirt you can wear at the pool. They govern what kind of discussions you can have in the
That's not
card
true.
room. Absolutely.
No way.
There's volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes of case law.
And they're super expensive.
That is correct. Since the tragedy that we had a few years ago in Surfside, which is in North Miami, there's a lot more regulations. And as a result of that, the insurance on these buildings have gotten very, very expensive. Mm-hmm. And I know as a realtor, Michael, what have you seen in the market as it relates to those?
Yeah, the insurance is definitely expensive, and they're getting more strict about just insuring in general. With roof, having the age of the roof and different things when the inspections come through. We just had a recent sale. We're at the closing. We're going back and forth because the insurance company would not insure the house unless the roof was replaced within 6 months. So, and that was kind of an issue at the end.
I do remember. I think that was one of the ones that our office handled for you guys. So the interesting thing, we were mentioning the Surfside requirement. So let me just delve a little bit more into that for our listeners. So all of the counties in South Florida, Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade County, they're all governed by the Miami-Dade Building Code, which was instituted after Hurricane Andrew in 1992. And as a result of that, if a building is 40 years old, there has to be a statutory and a local government code inspection of the building. Mm-hmm. And what's happening is, and what happened in Surfside was that there's not a lot of teeth until after Surfside happened that required these condominium associations, these older apartment buildings and the like, to have these inspections. And also, if they get the inspections, there wasn't a lot of teeth for them to actually complete all of the required repairs to the property. So since then, because a lot of buildings, and we're going to talk about this shortly, are governed by people that have no business running a baseball card store or a lemonade stand.
Well, correct. I would think that the people running these and managing these buildings have at least some experience regarding the structure and things like that. I mean, I think you and I know very much the issues when it even comes to the storms and you living right by the beach, just being on the Daytona property. Yeah. If you can... let us know a little bit about that, because that turned into a whole nightmare.
Yeah. So my dad actually has a condo in Daytona Beach on the ground level. So basically his back door, you open it up and it's the beach. You have your backyard and then a retaining wall. You go down some steps and you're right on the beach. It's beautiful. But when we had those two storms back to back a couple years ago, the one, I believe, was a hurricane. The other was only a tropical storm. The first storm took out his backyard all the way halfway up. The second one took out the rest of it all the way up to his patio to where you could see the supports under the patio. So they had to go and rebuild. It took down the seawall. It took down the fencing and everything, and it took them a couple of years to rebuild that.
And what was a special assessment for all of our viewers that aren't aware? When you live in a condominium association, a condominium building, it's governed by a condominium association. So generally, the definition under Florida law of a condominium is anything inside the four walls of the structure. So once you go outside your door, outside your window, those are all owned collectively by the condominium association. So there's generally a standard budget, which is like monthly assessments or quarterly assessments. But anything that the condominium association doesn't have properly budgeted, or like a disaster, like you mentioned, they oftentimes have to pass a special assessment, which is whatever the cost is, they divide it by the number of unit owners and they pay it over time.
Correct. I think his special assessment was about 1,000 something, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know the actual numbers, but I definitely know there was. And on top of that, they have been increasing the monthly maintenance fees over time as well. I believe they purchased that back in 2012, and it was about $400 a month for the maintenance fees, and now they're over $800-900.
Yeah, and probably a lot of it has to do with insurance. The cost of insurance, that's one of the challenges that we have in the state of Florida, is the cost of insurance. And I was at an event yesterday, and I met with a representative of the Florida Department of Insurance. And when we were asking him specific questions on what can we do to lower rates, what can we do to increase competition, and in the state of Florida, bring in new companies, there were crickets. And that's an unfortunate situation. We have a lot of problems, and we're going to discuss this in a future episode, where we have a lot of problems in the state of Florida, a lot of problems in the country. And unfortunately, we have a discord where people are attacking each other, but there's no solutions. And that's always a challenge for us.
I just want to see a solution, like fix it, But I don't know if I'm wrong, but I was watching the news and they said also a bunch of buildings in Miami are like flooding.
Flooding and sinking.
And sinking, yeah.
That takes us back to one of our older episodes where we're talking about the effects of climate change with our good friend.
Well, there it is, folks.
Prince Andre Fladel. And you can see whenever there's a major rainstorm, the downtown Miami and Miami Beach are underwater.
All flooded.
Right.
All flooded. So instead of getting a Tesla, get a boat.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. That's called climate change. It does exist, and just experience a rainy day.
So what happens now that all of those buildings we know are sinking? Insurance companies, I think, are bailing out on all of South Florida, I think, slowly. And is that going to leave us in a situation like California with the fires, that all these people, their houses burnt down, but the fire insurance didn't have any, or a lot of the fire insurance, they dropped them?
Well, right now, for the most part, if you live east of I-95, which is close on the way to the water, if you live on the west coast of Florida, if you live west of State Road 41, then you would be covered by the only insurance company that's going to cover you for the most part is the state of Florida insurance, which is called Citizens Insurance. Mm-hmm. And that's very expensive. So that's one of the challenges. And we see a lot of our condo commandos going to battle over this very insurance issue. Let's shift gears a little bit, because over the years, I've worked at firms as well as we've represented condominium associations and homeowner associations. So I know all of our listeners love our war stories that we're going to tell. So I have a couple funny ones that I want to share with you guys, and I want to get your take on it. Okay. I worked at a firm in Boca that it's a well-known firm. I protect the names to protect the innocent and the guilty. And they're very well-known, and they represent a lot of condominium associations and homeowner associations. So one of my friends there was an older gentleman, and he was basically a condo and HOA lawyer.
Okay.
So he charged his clients $10,000 for the following. There was a older gentleman who had some type of blood disorder.
Huh.
And he had all these bandages. And he basically would be in the common area, like the card room, the pool, and he would just take off his bandages and throw them on the ground.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting. And again, we can't protect people against human nature, but he filed a covenant violation action, which under the condominium association, when you live in a condominium association or homeowner association, when you buy your property, you take it subject to, like, for example, if it's a condominium, the declaration of condominium, or if you live in a homeowner association, the covenants, conditions, and restrictions. So it says that you can't, and he came up with this esoteric argument that he was, which I see the argument that he was affecting the health and welfare of the residents by throwing his bandages on the ground.
Absolutely, he was.
And he had to file a lawsuit, which basically was a declaratory judgment saying you cannot do this.
I like that.
And it cost the residents $10,000 because the other homeowner litigated it to trial and lost. And then didn't have any money, filed bankruptcy afterwards, so the condominium association couldn't get their fees.
Oh. I mean, what do you do in that situation, though? Can you, as a property owner, say, I don't want you guys to continue this litigation? You have no choice.
Well, if you aren't on the board and you're just a standard unit owner, you really have no say, because filing lawsuits against homeowners for covenant violations, or if they don't pay their monthly assessments or their special assessments, falls within the auspice of the board.
Huh. So I guess we get on the board?
Good luck. God bless you with that.
Uh-oh.
But that's what we call, and we are mildly explicit on this show. This is what we call dog shit letter lawyers. There are lawyers, and my friend that I was mentioning to you, I always call him a dog shit lawyer, because he basically writes a letter. You don't pick up your poop in the common area. And there's been volumes of cases in the 4th DCA, which covers Palm Beach and Broward County, on these dog shit letters, and that a condominium association can file a covenant action against a homeowner or a condominium owner that fails to pick up their dog shit in the common elements.
But that affects all of the homeowners.
It does.
Not just
But think about it. Would you really want to spend $10,000, or wouldn't you just go pick up the dog shit? That's what I would do.
Of course.
To save the money. So this is but I'll tell you, condominium association and homeowner association lawyers are a lot more affluent than we are, because they get paid on people's stupidity.
To me, it just boils down to common sense. Treat your neighbor. You like to be treated, kind of some old-fashioned values.
Let me take you back to the name of this episode, Condo Commandos. And remember, I forgot to mention you're not in Ohio anymore, Michael.
No,
we live in Florida. Duh.
Yeah, South Florida.
Yeah, I've been dealing with HOA since I've been here. It's been great.
It's good times.
It's been a great experience.
So let's shift the narrative a little bit. Theoretically, why are all these rules in place?
Allegedly, to keep the community, nice as it's supposed to be, allegedly. But I feel like now what they're doing is they're just trying to make money for themselves. Look what happened in what is it, the hammocks? Where they were just stealing all this money.
That's actually what I was going to talk about next. So here's a question. I'm gonna give it to Judge Janine. What are the requirements statutorily and educationally to serve as the treasurer of your condominium association or homeowner association?
I'm gonna say a high school diploma.
None.
There are none, other than every 2 years you have to take a board refresher course offered by the very attorneys that want to sue for dog shit letters.
Isn't that crazy?
That is absolutely asinine.
Right. So you could have failed. You could have not gotten a high school diploma. No disrespect to anybody that doesn't have it. And you could have failed math
1,000 times
from first grade to whatever grade you finish, and you can serve as the treasurer of your condominium association, governing in these larger buildings millions of dollars.
Yes.
Can attorneys litigate that to change the law with that? I mean, that seems a little outrageous.
Well, the problem is that a lot of people don't want to serve on their boards. Like people come up to me all the time in my neighborhood. They're like, "Oh, you should serve on the board." I'm like, "Why would I want to do that? You guys know where I live,
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm gonna file a law, and I'm gonna authorize attorneys to file a lawsuit to take your home."
Yeah, it's a headache. No.
I don't even like talking to you when I walk outside, let alone
Be
govern that.
responsible for all of that.
Right.
Yeah, no, it becomes too much, and it is a job in itself, and I get it, but I just think that a lot of these
And there's no
people
pay
are
unless you were the treasurer of the hammocks. You took your own salary out of it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's ridiculous. So I mean, either give them a small fee.
Do you want to pay that? Because I sure don't.
I don't want to pay that, but I also.
I mean, if Michael was on the board, I would. But other than that, and you,
I don't want to be.
Right.
I've running
been
elections.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it's a job in itself, though, and it does take a lot of time. So why not give them a little bit if they're going to really be on top of things and try to save money? Because for me, it's all about saving money.
Yeah.
Not spending more
Fiscally
money.
conservative, as we like to say.
I do like to be very conservative because I don't want to pay an HOA of $800 a month.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also HOAs like, I don't know if you've heard this place, Buckley Towers.
Mm-mm.
Oh, so that HOA has filed bankruptcy.
Condominium association.
Yeah, the condominium association at Buckley has had a long history of money going missing, filing bankruptcy.
Is it Miami?
It is Miami.
Oh, that was a good guess on my part.
Yeah, it is Miami. And now I believe that they have been taken over by the government and they're administrating it. But again, what happens to all the money that people have paid over the years then? What happens?
There's nothing in Chapter 718 Florida statutes, which governs Florida condominiums, that does that. There have been prosecutions over the years. I mean, it's pretty common that people have been prosecuted for absconding money from their condominium association, but that's after years and years of living the high life, so to speak.
Yeah. So, Michael, what do you think about having these condominium HOAs in place? Because some people see it as a plus to keep the community safe and clean and organized.
Well, I think it depends. Like a condominium, you kind of need one because you're talking about a high-rise, multiple units building. For like these gated communities, I don't think so much. When you have, like townhomes, single-family homes, where essentially, I think in those cases, you're really just paying for like lawn maintenance and, them to keep up with certain things when you could just pay for it yourself and not have to deal with the headaches of the HOA. So
my thing always is you say you could pay yourself, but will people do it? And that's the problem, because I'm going to be upset if I have my nice, beautiful home and my neighbor's grass looks like.
Well, that's the
crap.
reason why you have that. The theory behind it is to maintain a certain uniform appearance in the neighborhood, which in kind increases property values.
True. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of variables to it. It depends on the values of the property in the HOA itself. If you're looking at properties that are $1 million plus, you're going to have, a better community in general, compared to something that's, 400,000. Like a townhome community where they're 400,000, it just varies. You're going to have more renters in the 400,000 priced homes compared to the $1 million priced homes. You're going to have more people in those single family homes that are living there.
$400,000 is a mansion in Syracuse, by the way.
Yeah, and Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with no HOA,
Right.
But yeah, there's just a lot of dynamics that I've noticed down here.
Yeah.
With those.
So I have a couple questions for the two of you. We'll shift gears a little bit.
Woohoo!
So my understanding is that the two of you work together, and I would just like to learn a little bit more on how that works, and I'll give you my thoughts and take and analysis on it, and we may get a ruling from Judge Janine as well.
Well, technically, we all work together, right?
That is true.
But we live together.
That's true.
But we live together.
That's right.
Yeah. So typically, Michael has his full time. He's mainly in IT,
Okay.
but he's also a licensed realtor in Florida, and he is very well versed on properties. Michael's very handy. Also, he will look at something and know, oh, that needs to be replaced. That should be fixed, which makes him a good realtor.
Yeah. Attention to detail.
Yeah. So a lot of times he comes home and he's like, oh, hun, I just showed this property. I really don't think, in our last transaction, I really don't think she should go for this. That roof is going to have to be replaced. And, he had all, and sometimes I'm just like, because, I'm not a person that's going to know about a roof, right? So I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. As soon as the inspection comes back, it's like, roof has to be replaced. And he's just looking at me like, didn't I tell you? And I'm just like, okay, how are we going to make this work? So that's when we bring you in, Steve.
That's true.
And then I'm just like, Steve, oh my God, all this stuff is going on and we got to close this deal.
Won't be the first. It won't be the last. I hear that scream. So let me ask you this, just to kind of delve a little bit more and because we are human. Attorneys are human too. So we like to hear that. So when you're like at home, are you, because you work together, is there a lot of work talk that goes on? Because I could see that could be somewhat of a challenge.
I try to separate it.
Okay.
When I wake up at 7 a.m., I try to reserve all the things I'm thinking about till a little later and get through the morning. And I've done it before. And then she's like, I'm not even awake. I haven't had my coffee. So, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let me just, some days you wake up and your mind's going like, oh, I got to do this, and this today. And you just want to get moving on it. And you do have to separate it.
Okay.
Yeah. And now we have a toddler too. So in the morning is all about trying to get him dressed to go to school. Because
my ex-wife came in to work at the law firm for like a couple of days, and that was just
not good.
Not a good dynamic.
I think we're pretty good at separating work, life, our son, just so that we get like a foot on things and stuff. Especially because he knows mainly I'm working with you.
Yeah.
So I can't always delve into like every little aspect. So, and also some things I'm like, this is something you can definitely handle on your own without me.
Got it. Judge Janine, how about you? How could you work with your hubby?
I do on a daily basis. It's funny. I won't spend too much time because I'm not on camera, but I will say that I used to work because he does low voltage.
It's like the voice of God that we hear.
Applause here. God, that's great. So I used to work for him briefly when we first got married because he does cameras and surveillance. That's his primary job. And I literally gave him an ultimatum. I said, I go back to work for someone else or I quit because I can't work for you. And then years later, now he's working with me, and he knows a lot about the technical aspect. I know more about the creative aspect. So we balance each other out.
To complement each other.
We do. But we've learned to respect each other and respect each other's space, and really just we work well. We work well together.
That is excellent to hear for both Judge Janine and Celena and Michael. I guess I'm not that evolved of a human being yet to appreciate that, but that was just one thing that I thought was very, very interesting. Okay, so as we're winding down, we're going to shift over to some silliness that Attorneys Are Human too is always well known for. So I would be remiss if I don't drop a nugget for some of my friends back in Syracuse and my high school friends that are listening. So I'm going to start with you, Celena.
Okay.
What was the silliest or stupidest thing that you can share with us that you did in high school? I know you were a goody two-shoes in Catholic school in New York City.
Okay, so one time on my way to school, because, in New York, we take public transportation.
Okay.
I had some sort of metal thing on my backpack. And early in the morning, I'm not myself without coffee. I decided to lean against a bus stop with this heavy metal thing on my back. it was like this keychain. I can't remember, but I heard with my headphones and my CD player. I know a lot of people don't know what a CD player is, but I had
My
a CD
kids
player.
don't know what a CD player is.
Disc.
Yes, and I'm listening to music super
They make
loud.
great coasters right now.
Yeah, and I hear this cracking, and I don't know what it is. So long story short, I fell through the plexiglass of a New York City bus stop.
Wow.
All on was bleeding. I think I knocked myself out because then I got up as soon as the bus came. Because, Latin family, I'm like, I can't go home and say I'm not going to
Right.
school.
And you can't be late. Even
No, hell no.
You could be bleeding to death or
Yeah,
anything.
I was bleeding.
Right.
And I got myself on the bus. I remember the bus driver he was like in complete shock. I got on the bus and I was like, I got to go to school, man. He was like, are you okay? I was like, we can't be late. Hurry up.
I'm feeling weak.
Yeah,
Maybe he's lost blood.
Yeah, we get to school. Funny thing is that bus driver took the time to go into the school and say, she must have fell through the plexiglass. I don't think she's okay, but he did tell someone.
Okay, good.
So I get to my leadership class and teacher's like, you look like crazy. And and I was like, I'm fine. I can't miss class. You don't know. Don't call my mother. Don't do it. And then I passed out.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that's a silly.
That is a crazy. Okay, same question to you. Back in Cleveland, Ohio, Michael. Crazy story. Crazy high school story.
I don't know if I could top that, but crazy story. Does it have to be crazy? You
Or
said
funny, silly, crazy, funny.
Oh boy, Cleveland, Ohio. Well, it's not as I can't say it's as active as the New York City, but you're making me think here. In high school, wow.
Michael was probably bad in high school.
I mean, I don't want to say too many.
He's trying to. The statute of limitations has passed, so you're okay, Michael.
I'm also representing myself professionally.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, you can tag me and I'll tell mine.
What's yours?
Okay. So, in 9th grade, I went over my friend. I'm not going to tell you his name. But I'm gonna. But I was
probably
over
because I know who he is talking about.
You don't actually.
Okay.
So I was over my friend's house, and his father was a professor at the law school that I attended. But I was only in 9th grade.
Okay, good.
And so we used to go over his house, and he would be. We were in 9th grade, and his dad was serving us adult beverages. And so remember, his father was a law school professor. So if we got in trouble, we knew we were good, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So
here, kids, let's get sauced.
So my friend whose house it was, and my other friend, we were consuming probably 3 or 4 too many adult beverages. And we walked over to the local high school, which was not our high school, and we grab a football, and we're playing football on the football field. And then
not your high school.
Of not my high school.
Okay.
And my friend, whose house it wasn't, said he had to go to the bathroom. And I said, I dare you to do a deuce on the 50-yard line.
No, Steve.
And this was my best friend, who you do know is high school. Who also played on the football team.
Oh, no.
And so my friend did a deuce on the 50-yard line.
The disrespect.
And then a couple of days later, after my friend, who you do know, played football, I'm like, my friend left you a present on the 50-yard line.
Wow.
You are so lucky that was back in the day.
Right.
Nowadays, there's cameras.
Right. This was, just so you're aware, this is well before social media.
Yeah.
And, but then after that evening, I came home and I was acting ridiculous. And my Sicilian nanny picked me up from the house, and she's like, told my mom, oh my God, you're not going to believe Stevie had adult beverages, and he's only whatever my age was at the time.
Oh my God. And then you got caught.
And I got caught. But at least I didn't drop the deuce on the 50-yard line. So.
No, but you were the one who dared him to do it.
I was the conspirator,
the manipulator.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you condition yourself to drop a deuce on command? I'm just saying, like, that doesn't.
You're gonna have to ask.
Right?
You're gonna have to ask my friend who's listening right now that
Did he
question.
just down a bunch of Miralax?
I think men have the ability to just like do it on command. I don't know.
But my friend whose father was the law person, we did not watch. We turned our back, out of respect. So.
Oh my God. Well,
out of respect, he wasn't respecting anyone.
Yeah, that's still. I'm just like, what? That's still not gonna help me. Like, I need some privacy.
And the friend whose story we're sharing did ask me to give him a shout out, so I figure he's gonna appreciate the shout out.
God. I'm sorry.
You're resurrecting some memories.
There we go.
Maybe I could share something crazy.
Okay, perfect.
You might want to edit it out. I don't know.
No, we don't. Nothing's edited out.
Okay.
We're mildly explicit.
Watch this be a story that I don't even know about.
She
and I'm
doesn't
like,
know
how
it.
could you say that?
I know she doesn't know it.
No, go
So,
ahead. Okay.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm glad I can inspire you, Michael.
This gives you a little taste.
I hope it's not a taste.
No, not literally. So, in high school, as she said, I know a lot about homes, and I was in a 2-year vocational program for home improvement. We learned how to build, homes, laying the brick and everything from the ground up. Well, we had another school, which was our rival, coming to our home improvement vocational program, which I don't think that was a good idea, but
this would be a reality show these days. Home Improvement High School Wars.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely was. This is just one event that occurred. So, we weren't exactly friends.
Got it.
But we got along. But there's always tension between the schools, just natural rivals.
Did you ever hit anybody with a hammer?
What?
No,
because that's the kind of questions I want to ask.
But I did hit somebody with a eraser from a chalkboard in the head while they were sleeping, and it
woke them up.
It did, and there was a cloud of dust. But that wasn't a story.
We digress.
So mean.
Well, he was.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this home improvement war story.
Right?
So there was about 6 to 8 of the students that came over. We were at the point of our building our little houses. We had the drywall up, and we were painting. And, being a school, they didn't go buy us fresh paint. We used whatever they had and we mixed it. So me and my team.
Oh, man.
Oh, my Lord.
Hold on. Me and my team, we mixed this paint. We created this amazing color, we thought, like 17.
They thought.
And, when we left, the other school, they stole our paint. And
oh, my God.
They mixed it in their 5-gallon bucket of paint. And they're like, and we started painting, but we didn't finish. So it was like, we can't get this color back.
If this was Florida, you get shot.
Yeah, well,
yeah, that's true.
They might as well have, because we were so pissed that after we realized it was my idea. I initiated. We all went and peed in their bucket of paint.
Ooh.
There's like six or seven high school kids.
This is juicy.
Right? Oh, yeah. And it mixed it all up. And they came back the next day and they started painting with it. It got all over them and everything, and
Barf.
their whole house smelled bad, and they didn't know. They didn't know why.
That's juicy. I definitely want this in the episode.
So, this is what men do, Janine.
Oh,
men
did.
They're just dropping deuces and peeing.
That's right. That's right.
What is going on?
So we definitely paid them back.
It's like dogs marking their territory.
I would have to say. I would have to say. Okay, so let's go into the lightning round.
Ooh, lightning round.
Let's ask Michael the questions.
Yes, let's ask Michael the questions.
Yes.
Okay, but you start.
Okay. Pants or shorts?
Pants.
LeBron or Jordan?
I got to go Jordan, even though I'm from Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I married him.
Date night or boys night out?
Date night.
Yeah, right. Good answer.
Good answer, because I was going to give him the side eye. Like, what?
No side eye.
Okay. Tacos or burgers?
Oh, that's tough. I like them both equal.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you for being on this episode today. You understand and experience firsthand
the shenanigans, the informative yet ridiculous. There was a little more cursing this episode. There was some bodily fluids discussed. Judge Janine, before we go, what's your ruling on this episode?
I have no words other than I'm imagining someone pooping on a field, and I can't get that out of my mind. And I just want to know how he pooped on command.
Oh my God.
That's what we do in Syracuse.
Right.
You're welcome.
Michael.
Almost a medical question.
Michael, so before we go, how can anyone that's looking to purchase a home or purchase a condo, how can they reach you?
Yes.
Yes, you can reach me by phone, email, on Instagram. You say the phone number? No
Yeah.
one? Okay.
Absolutely.
My phone number is 954-994-4949.
And it'll be in the show notes as well.
Great.
Yeah.
You can call or text me at any time. You could email me, Michael.
Be careful what you wish for.
Right?
We got some crazy listeners.
Okay, we'll see. You could email me at michael@clspros.com or find me on Instagram at music, muzic.realtor. That is my Instagram page. And we'll be happy to hear from you.
All right.
Well, thank you again, Celena. Take us home.
All right. Well, thank you for...
Don't black out. We follow us, like us, give us 5-star reviews. And again, we thank you for all of your support. Until next time, I'm Steve Wallace.
And I'm Celena Muzic.
And I'm Michael Muzic.
We out.
Thank you for listening to Attorneys Are Human Too. Remember, give us a 5-star review and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you get your digital content.